All right, welcome to another movie review. Today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Um, it's a good day. We've got another Spider-Man film. It's been 5 years, if you can believe that, since No Way Home. Um, and it seems like this is going to be a big one. The box office is predicting pretty big in the U.S. and around the world, really. Um, I'm pretty sure it's statistically proven that Spider-Man is just the most popular superhero. So I guess that kind of tracks as to why we're looking at such a big opening weekend. Um, so I'm going to keep this non-spoilers, uh, just because I know there's going to be a lot of people watching it. The movie. I don't know about the review, but the movie. Um, and we'll just kind of talk about the good, the bad. I'll give my score at the end, um, and maybe some background as to how I was feeling going into it. So, this film follows the events of No Way Home. I'm not exactly sure how much time has passed. It's significant because, as you see in the trailers, um, Peter's friends Ned and MJ are they've moved on. They've started a new life. They have an apartment together. Um, in college or through college. That part wasn't clear to me and also isn't very important. But suffice it to say, time has passed since Spider Man made the choice at the end of No Way Home to make everyone forget Peter Parker. Um, and he's kind of he's got essentially a non-existent work-life balance. And the trailers got me really excited for this film. It was being directed by the guy who did Shang Chi, and compared to the majority of post Endgame Marvel movies, I thought Shang Chi was definitely towards the top. I didn't love it, but it has some of the best. It probably has the best fight scenes in the MCU. So I was really hoping we'd be able to bring that energy to the movie, and I can touch more on that in a little bit. But so yeah, you've got Dustin Daniel Cretton as the director. Tom Holland was in the writers' room apparently for this one. Um, so I was really excited going into it because I know Tom Holland has really given this character a lot of love. Like he clearly loves being Spider Man. He does a good job. I think the MCU has created the most accurate version of Spider Man over the years, even if that has come with some drawbacks in the way that they brought him into the universe through Iron Man. A lot of people complain that the John Watts trilogy was just Peter Parker, Spider Man living in Tony's shadow. And I'm definitely somewhat in that camp. But this film is very much about Spider Man slash Peter Parker being Spider Man. And I really enjoyed that. I found myself in the first, let's say, first act, really taking it in. Like Spider-Man was doing all the things you're gonna do in the video games. He was taking on petty crime. He was swinging around the city, and it was all very dynamic. I thought the swinging was incredible. I know they did a lot of practical work this time around. Looked really good. Um, as for like the momentum and the choreography, all top notch. But it gets to a point further into the movie where you establish there's a bigger issue, there's something going on. And if you know anything about this film, if you've kept up with any of the hype, there's been a lot of speculation about who the villain is. And I'm not going to say whether or not that speculation was true. All I'm going to say is I knew what I was getting myself in for, and the attempted like mystique around this character didn't work on me, and ultimately led to the rest of the movie being pretty predictable. So suffice it to say, I went from really digging what we were setting up, especially the Peter Parker stuff, seeing a man really conflicted with his choice, but knowing that that's what Spider-Man would and should do. That really rang true for me. But once we sort of jump into the Spider-Man movie at large, I kind of I kind of started feeling this like death by a thousand cuts situation, and it ended up becoming almost two movies for me. One about Peter's strife, and that strife leading to abnormalities in his powers, which again is also in the trailers, um, and then the larger existential threat that's in every Marvel movie. And I just didn't find the bigger problem to be all that interesting, really. Like, maybe it's because I had a feeling I knew where we were going, and then I ended up being right. That's possibly what it is. But I just didn't care for some of the things they were setting up. Like, this movie felt like it was really, really going out of its way to be like, hey, this is in the MCU, don't forget. And here's Hulk, here's Punisher, here's this character, here's that character. And I'm not here to say it's like cameo heavy. It's not really how it read to me. It more so read like we we just need to, well, maybe it is just cameo heavy, in fact. I don't know. I get what they were going for, but it ended up coming across really messy for me. And it's hard to explain while being vague. I did really like the Punisher. John Bernthal's great. I'm not a big Punisher guy. I was never super into the Netflix Marvel shows, but that guy is perfect casting. I cannot say enough about how much I like John Bernthal as the Punisher. So seeing him in this movie, especially knowing from the little bit I know about comics, I consider myself a very very entry level fan of comics. Knowing that Spider-Man and Punisher cross over a lot, I was down for that. That was like the one person they chose to, like, not necessarily shoehorn into the movie, but include, that I was okay with. Hulk, not so much. That one very much to me felt reminiscent of Brave New World. Like, hey, people have been complaining about not having Hulk. Let's give them Hulk. It's short lived. It didn't really add anything to the movie for me. Um, so I don't know. Continuing on, you get into the third act. It's built up to this thing that again I saw coming, um, and I just didn't feel like like it had earned the emotional payoff it was looking for, um, and the resolution between Spider-Man and the villain. I don't know. It felt like we could have done better, and I'm gonna leave it at that just because I don't know how to really get into that without being specific. Um, so what would I rate this film? I'm leaning on, I want to say a 6 out of 10. Ultimately, I did like it, but I wanted to love it. Where does it rank in the pantheon of Spider-Man films? That's tough for me. I usually need time to digest things. It's well acted. It's got some of the best Spider-Man, being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man we've probably ever seen in the movies, or at least since the Raimi trilogy. Um, but I felt it was very much kneecapped by its own desire to remind you that it's a comic book movie and that it's got all these characters it can play with. So that really held it back for me. On top of what I believe was not really the most engaging story, once we decided we weren't going to focus specifically on Peter's struggles with his decision in No Way Home and more into the here's the big bad, let's figure it out. It's just been done time and time again. I mean, like every Marvel movie for me is kind of going in this blender of like, we have an action scene, we have a plot, a B plot. A lot of times I kind of find the B plot to be more interesting, but they can't really focus on it because they know people are there for the action, the big climax. I'm just getting a little tired of that, I think, and the formula might be starting to wear on me. It'll be really interesting going into Avengers Doomsday to see how true that rings for me. But I digress. So 6 out of 10. There is plenty to like in this movie, and it is absolutely the definition of a popcorn flick. Um, it's got substance, it's got some emotion, um, but I felt myself a little bit disappointed. And I'm very curious to see how public reception is. If I had to predict, it's going to be incredibly high. I just think the fact that we haven't had a Spider-Man movie in 5 years is probably going to be enough for people to be satisfied. Um, but yeah, let me know what you think. Uh, Good movie, not great. I probably would prefer the Raimi trilogy over this. Maybe that's nostalgia. That's what I grew up with. But I do find that those films have the most heart at their core. Um, I'm even somewhat an apologist for both the TASM films. Um, Tom Holland, there's something about the Tom Holland Spider Man, or I should say the MCU Spider Man, that just doesn't quite click with me. And I think I'm in the minority on that because, like I said, very, very comic accurate from what I understand. They've been able to introduce so many more Spider Man esque characters through the MCU. Like, there's a lot to love about this interpretation. But from the outset, there's just been something about the way this one has been done that as a story, not just this film, that just hasn't really jived with me. And I've never been able to put my finger on it. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Um, I'll probably do a spoiler review just because I do want to talk about it more specifically so I don't just sound crazy. Um, but yeah, thanks for watching. I enjoyed the movie. I hope you do too. Um, Please go out and support the theaters. We need the business. And Spider Man is an event film at the end of the day. You're going to be in a theater probably with a full crowd enjoying something, and that harmony is really needed right now. So go out, have some fun with your folks. Have a good one. Bye.